Welcome to Tales of the Unknown, 3 terrifying encounters, where we delve into the terrifying realms of the unexplained. These spine-tingling stories will test your courage and leave you questioning the boundaries of the known and the unknown. In tonight's video, we journey through 3 tales of darkness and redemption where the perils of curiosity, the secrets of family, and the lure of haunted places collide. Fasten your seatbelts, viewers, because these stories are sure to send shivers down your spine.
The Alleyway of Dread. You know, I've always considered myself a bit of a night owl. There's this inexplicable allure to the silence, the stillness of the nocturnal world that beckons to me like a siren's call. While my friends were off gallivanting at raucous parties or cramped bars, I sought solace in the labyrinthine streets, bathed in the symphony of the city's nocturnal whispers. But one starless night, my nocturnal pilgrimage took an eerie turn that will forever be etched into the annals of my memory. It happened on the cusp of a Tuesday bleeding into an obscure Wednesday morning, a time when the city had fallen into an almost comatose slumber. The impulse struck me to take my customary midnight stroll, weaving through the pulsating arteries of the city center. I wandered the familiar back streets, each footstep painting a phantom note on the canvas of silence. Then came the pivotal moment when I took a seemingly innocuous turn into a narrow, seemingly deserted alley. A strange shiver ran down my spine, a sudden drop in temperature, and all my senses heightened to an unsettling crescendo. It wasn't just the eerie silence that sent shivers down my spine, but the eerie sounds emanating from the depths of the abyss. I strained my ears to decipher the cacophony. A faint rustling, as if some unearthly creature was stirring in the shadows, followed by a guttural growl that clawed at the fabric of my mind. Panic gripped me, and my trembling fingers hovered over my phone, ready to summon the guardians of 911. I couldn't shake the eerie feeling of being under relentless scrutiny. With bated breath, I cautiously ventured deeper into the alley, where the dissonant symphony grew more cacophonous, more diabolical. My footsteps echoed like the ominous beat of a ghostly drum, each echo a stark reminder of my vulnerability. My grip on the phone tightened, the call button just a heartbeat away. And then, in that sepulchral darkness, they appeared, a pair of glowing eyes, like twin orbs of malevolence, unblinking, omnipotent, like spectral gatekeepers to realms unknown. A paroxysm of terror gripped me and I staggered backwards, my heart a wild stallion in my chest. Those eyes crept closer, revealing a silhouette teetering between the realms of the human and the otherworldly. It was as if I had stumbled upon a creature born from the darkest depths of folklore and myth. Driven by primal instinct, I turned and fled, my footsteps an implacable tattoo on the chamber of shadows. I dared not look back, my very soul recoiling from the specter I might see. Adrenaline coursed through my veins as I leapt from the abyss into the dimly lit street. The discordant symphony of eerie sounds followed me, an unearthly melody, but I didn't give in. My flight continued unabated, all the way to my sanctuary, my breath ragged, my thoughts confused. I slammed the door behind me and locked it with a desperation that bordered on madness, as if it could keep the phantasmagorical being I had encountered at bay. That night, sleep was an estranged lover, my mind replaying the nightmarish encounter in the deserted alley. Since that fateful night, I haven't had the courage to revisit that cursed alley. It remains a mystery, a crucible of danger and enigma, a stark reminder that sometimes the uncharted territories of the unknown can prove infinitely more terrifying than the recesses of our darkest imaginations. The inexorable march of time turned mere days into endless weeks, and the ominous specter of that fateful night continued to haunt my every waking moment. An inescapable, unshakable fear gnawed at the recesses of my psyche, a persistent whisper that the enigmatic force I had encountered in that desolate, dimly lit alley was not a fleeting apparition, but a lingering presence lurking in the inky depths of shadow. Night after night, I embarked on an odyssey of intellectual exploration. Under the cold, unfeeling gaze of the moon, I delved into a labyrinthine web of eerie tomes, obscure manuscripts, and the unfathomable depths of the decaying internet. Time marched on relentlessly, but I remained in the shadows, driven by an insatiable thirst for revelation. My friends, those who dared to entertain my relentless pursuit, dismissed my fervent inquiries as the delusions of a tortured mind. But deep in the labyrinth of my thoughts, I clung to the certainty of my senses, an unyielding anchor in the storm of uncertainty that had enveloped me. It was on an unremarkable evening, shrouded in the muted gloom of my dimly lit apartment, that a disturbing revelation pierced the thick veil of my reflections. What if I, in my isolation and fear, was not the only witness to the mystery that loomed in that alley? What if there were others, tortured souls, who had ventured into that eerie abyss only to be consumed by its mysteries, never to return? A newfound determination surged through me, giving birth to an insatiable thirst for knowledge that could not be quenched by reason or logic alone. I extended my digital tendrils, seeking solace and companionship in the digital realm. Online forums and message boards became my refuge, a sanctuary where I bared my soul, recounting the peculiar contours of my encounter, desperately hoping to bind myself to fellow wanderers of the Twilight Realm. The cyber ether remained silent, an unfathomable void, until a lone beacon pierced the darkness, an entity known as Midnight Seeker. The cryptic message unfolded before my eyes like an ancient scroll, etched with words of eerie familiarity. "Your meeting resonates," it whispered into the digital winds. "I too have ventured into this cryptic alley, and its mark on my psyche refuses to fade. Meet me tomorrow night under the sliver of the crescent moon in the abandoned bookstore on Elm Street, and I will weave my tale into the tapestry of your consciousness." The prospect of meeting a kindred spirit, one who had struggled with the same phantasmagorical specter, created a maelstrom of trepidation and anticipation within me. I agreed to the clandestine rendezvous, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, the day ahead carried the weight of anxious expectation. When the appointed hour arrived, I ventured into the ancient, musty repository of tomes that was the Elm Street bookshop. The darkness enveloped me, a shroud hiding secrets and whispering echoes of forgotten tales. As I waited, suspended in suspense, a silhouette emerged from the shadows, a towering figure, shrouded and veiled in mystery, her face a mere abyss. "Are you Midnight Seeker?" I stammered, my voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. A nod, shrouded in the darkness of the hood, was the only response. "Yes," the voice from under the hood intoned, "and my tale is one that will stretch the limits of credulity." We retreated to a hidden alcove within the bookshop, a sanctuary where words flowed freely, unhindered by prying eyes. And there, amidst the hallowed stacks of ancient wisdom, Midnight Seeker began her harrowing tale, a reflection of my own. The story unfolded with chilling precision, the words cascading from their lips like icy, crystalline rivulets. The alley, the arcane cacophony that defied rationality, the ever-watchful gaze, these were all familiar elements of the Midnight Seeker's chronicle. Yet her confrontation with the inexplicable had occurred months before my own. As Midnight Seeker wove her narrative, I could not deny the inexorable truth that emerged: our shared encounter was no mere phantasmagoria of overwrought minds. It was physical, tangible, and malevolent. "We are compelled to uncover the truth," Midnight Seeker concluded with a fervent determination that mirrored the blazing fire within my own soul. "This entity, this insidious specter that lurks in the shadows, preying upon unsuspecting souls, we must confront it." Fueled by a newfound sense of purpose, we embarked on a journey into the abyss, casting aside the shroud of uncertainty that had enveloped our lives. Our quest was one of inquiry, of unraveling the mystery that clung to that cursed alley like a spectral shroud. We sought the whispers of the past, the memories of long-forgotten residents, and the guidance of those who had delved into the darkest recesses of the occult. What we unearthed was beyond the bounds of our darkest nightmares. The alley bore the weight of a sinister history, a tapestry woven with the threads of ancient rites, and a gateway to realms beyond human comprehension. The creature we had encountered was a sentinel, a guardian charged with protecting the portal from those who might unwittingly stumble upon it. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Midnight Seeker and I devised a plan, a bold quest to seal the portal and spare others the torment that had besieged us. It was a dangerous undertaking, fraught with peril, but our spirits remained unbroken. We would face the unknown, face the abyss, and quell the malevolent force that had plagued our lives. In the heart of that deserted alley, armed with the incantations of ages past and an unyielding will, we faced the Guardian. It was a battle of epic proportions, a symphony of the supernatural clashing with the indomitable will of two souls who refused to be ensnared by the machinations of the abyss. In the end, we were victorious. The portal was sealed and the being banished back to the void from whence it came. The alley, once a breeding ground for fear and despair, was transformed into a place of calm and solace. As Midnight Seeker and I left that unassuming alley, a silent communion passed between us, an understanding beyond words. We had traveled into the heart of the unknown, and in this crucible of uncertainty we had forged an unbreakable bond. Our shared experience, like an ancient tome, bound us together in a way that no one else could comprehend. And as I cast a final glance back down that once cursed alley, a sense of closure and relief washed over me. The dangers of the unknown remained, a spectral specter lurking on the fringes of human understanding. But armed with the wisdom we had unearthed and the strength we had discovered within ourselves, we stood ready to face whatever unfathomable challenges the future might bring. The secrets in the attic. My grandfather's ancestral home, forever shrouded in an aura of eldritch eeriness, occupied a peculiar space at the end of a serpentine thoroughfare and stood as a testament to a bygone era. Its antiquated wooden framework, each component bearing the weight of forgotten history, emitted dissonant creaks and groans that seemed to harmonize with the capricious cadence of the wind's dance. The inky abyss seemed to beckon, an insatiable maw that would voraciously devour any intruder who dared to cross the creaking threshold. But it was the attic, the very pinnacle of this enigmatic edifice, that sent shivers down the vertebrae of my spine, an auditory theater where cryptic echoes whispered and resonated with the faint echoes of eons past. In the early years of my existence, I begged my venerable ancestor to unravel the mystery of the attic, to explain the eerie sonatas that emanated from its deepest recesses. But he, ever evasive, avoided such discourse, his eyes haunted by memories shrouded in gloomy mystery. It would be unwise to venture into this realm, his timbre echoed, laced with a prescient admonition. But curiosity, as the saying goes, exudes an insidious allure, an unquenchable siren's call, that ceaselessly gnawed at my intellect. I could no longer resist the magnetic pull of the inscrutable. One fateful eve, clutching a shining beacon in my trembling grasp, I decided to explore the depths of the attic. The cramped staircase, a veritable promenade of ancestral portraits, depicting distant relatives whose ocular orbs eternally watched my ascent, unfurled a mantle of air charged with the resonance of antiquity. The portal of the attic, ponderous and resistant, uttered loud lamentations as it reluctantly surrendered its sanctuary. Inside, the attic took on the appearance of a crypt, full of relics forgotten by time and memories abandoned to oblivion. Stacks upon stacks of containers, teeming with hoary photographs, archaic correspondence and the baubles of yesteryear, rose to an imposing height. But it was not just the tangible artifacts that captured my attention, it was an ineffable presence, disconcertingly nebulous, a specter of observation lurking within the vast expanse. A hint of surveillance, the unseen gaze of occult ocular organs, enveloped me in an icy grip of dread. I ventured deeper into this twilight realm, the beam of my torch conjuring up grotesque, elongated phantoms on the wavy, age-scarred floorboards. And then it materialized, a cracked and forlorn-looking glass, its reflective surface marred by the inexorable march of time. In its mirrored countenance I detected an anomalous distortion, a secret cipher yearning to reveal its hidden truths. As my fingers tentatively brushed the glass, a voice, spectral and ancient, intruded upon my auditory sphere. "Thou shalt not linger here," it hissed, as if the glass itself held secrets it longed to reveal. A frenzied recoil, an erratic retreat, followed. My heart, a relentless percussion, pounded in my chest as my torch, capricious in its loyalty, flickered, plunging the attic into Stygian darkness. Panic overwhelmed my faculties as I blindly groped for a way out of the attic. The eerie voice persisted, building to a crescendo of malevolent menace. In a heedless flight, I flung open the attic door and descended the narrow staircase. The eerie sounds followed me, echoing through the confines of the ancient domicile. I emerged into the invigorating embrace of the nocturnal environment, gasping for the life force of oxygen, my heart pounding incessantly. The house faded into the distance, my ancestral shelter a relic of foreboding. My ancestor's caution, his reluctance to expose the recesses of ancestral memory, materialized with crystalline clarity. Within these venerable walls lay the secret annals of a dynasty, secrets that I, the inadvertent researcher, had unearthed. And so, with an inexorable decree, I swore never to return to my grandfather's house. In the wake of that nightmarish encounter in the labyrinthine confines of my grandfather's shadowy attic, an interminable period of weeks unfolded, each day festering with an insidious dread that had ensnared my very core. The haunting resonance of that strange, enigmatic voice from the foreboding mirror echoed constantly in the depths of my subconscious, its icy tendrils clinging to the edges of my sanity. A maelstrom of fear swirled relentlessly, yet paradoxically, an insatiable curiosity gnawed at the boundaries of my thoughts, compelling me to embark on an odyssey in search of the veritable revelations hidden within my family's enigmatic annals, regardless of the potentially perilous revelations they might reveal. To begin my quest, I embarked on a fervent expedition through the sepulchral archives and yellowed manuscripts that held the vestiges of my family's cryptic past, an ardent desire to penetrate the sanctum of forbidden secrets driving me inexorably forward. My grandfather's stubborn silence on the history of our lineage had only fueled my determination to uncover the hidden truths that had lain dormant for generations. This solitary and daunting sojourn into the labyrinthine corridors of the past was undertaken with unwavering determination, for there was no possibility of retreat. Amidst the time-crusted parchments, I stumbled upon a treasure trove of clandestine correspondence between my grandfather and an inscrutable relative whose identity had been assiduously concealed in our family chronicles. The letters contained cryptic allusions to a malevolent mystery, a grievous injustice committed in bygone eras that had secretly haunted our lineage through the ages. With each revelation, the mosaic of the enigma took on a more coherent visage. The specter that dwelt in the dark recesses of the attic, the eerie voice enigmatically enshrined in the reflective surface, all were inextricably intertwined with the arcane past. My grandfather, burdened by the weight of a terribly sordid family secret, bore the cross of knowledge too loathsome to bequeath even to his own flesh and blood. Determined to face the abyss of truth, I embarked on a pilgrimage to the desolate location cryptically referenced in the trail of letters, a remote family cabin nestled deep within the impenetrable bosom of the primeval forest, a place inextricably linked to the guarded secret. My journey was cloaked in an aura of precarious ambiguity, but the siren call of the enigmatic unknown could no longer be ignored. As I approached the hut, an ominous sense of foreboding descended, casting its shroud of dread over the terrain. The very air bore witness to the weighty mysteries hidden within the hut's forlorn sanctuary, and its once welcoming facade now loomed malevolently in the dim embers of dawn. Cautious steps led me into the dark recesses of the hut, each heartbeat sounding like an ominous drumbeat. Inside, beneath the worn floorboards of the cabin, a secret chamber awaited, a subterranean crypt where the gnarled roots of truth had been tangled through the ages. The room was overflowing with tomes, journals, and antiquated relics, each a remnant of our lineage's sordid legacy. As I meticulously pieced together the fragments of the past, the full panorama of our family's hidden misdeeds emerged with chilling clarity. Decades ago, through an unholy rite, a malevolent phantasm had been conjured, a force that had sown the seeds of sorrow in the clay of our bloodline. In penance for his knowledge, my grandfather had devoted a life to the grim task of containing the malevolence, a solemn duty borne even at the cost of his own happiness. With his newfound enlightenment came an acute sense of duty. I realized that it was up to me to confront the malevolent specter and sever the sinister umbilical cord that had shackled our family's destiny for generations. Armed with the ghosts of the past and the indomitable will to face the abyss, I made my final return to my grandfather's home. In the attic, the crucible of my enigmatic odyssey, I stood before the cracked and dusty mirror. The strange voice, now only a faint echo tinged with despair, addressed me once more. This time, however, I was prepared. I invoked the incantations and rituals I had gleaned from the annals of our past, and the mirror shook and cracked. In a cataclysmic crescendo of deafening torment, the malevolent entity was exorcised, its stranglehold on our lineage irrevocably severed. The loft fell silent, its former cacophonous discord silenced. I understood that my grandfather's sacrificial mantle had not been worn in vain. I left the ancestral home for the last time with a profound sense of closure, the oppressive weight of untold secrets lifted from my shoulders. The dangers posed by the darkness of the family mysteries had been confronted, and the mystery itself laid to rest. As I ventured away from my grandfather's home, it occurred to me that perhaps the deepest secrets lie not in obscure crevices, but in the reservoir of strength we muster to confront them. My family's legacy had been irrevocably transformed, and I, unburdened by the ghosts of the past, was ready to accept the beckoning embrace of the future. The Haunted Asylum. In the realm of the enigmatic and the mysterious, my intrigue knows no bounds. The ineffable, the mysterious, and the baffling exerted an inscrutable charm, like a moth irresistibly drawn to the ethereal glow of a flame. It was with this fervent fascination that I embarked on a journey when I happened to hear whispers of an abandoned asylum, whispered to be the dwelling place of spectral apparitions. This abandoned asylum loomed like a colossal titan on the fringes of civilization, a towering structure imbued with a mysterious aura. Its shattered windows, covered in intricate graffiti, bore witness to the relentless march of time, while the tenacious ivy, reaching out to reclaim the structure, etched a complex dance between nature and human abandonment. Decades had passed since it was abandoned, and within its walls lingered tales of torment, madness, and secret experiments that festered in the annals of history. Under the cover of a moonless night, driven by an insatiable curiosity, I ventured into the asylum. The darkness was absolute, giving way only to the faint glow of my trusty torch. The air, saturated with the scent of decay and dampness, gave rise to a disquieting unease that clawed at my core. My footsteps, muffled by the dilapidated entrance, echoed through the eerie silence, marking my passage into the labyrinthine depths of the asylum. Its interior, a catacomb of elongated, nebulous corridors and abandoned, disintegrating chambers, provided a canvas for my flashlight's capricious dance, projecting grotesque, distorted shadows onto the peeling wallpaper. As I delved deeper into this abyss, the ambient symphony of eerie sounds intensified, the unsettling murmur of disembodied voices, the spectral shuffling of unseen entities and the spine-tingling, otherworldly moans. My heart raced and my breaths were shallow gasps, but the relentless curiosity held sway, an implacable captor. A special chamber, untouched by the relentless erosion of time, materialized before me, a sanctuary where the past clung tenaciously like a spectral ghost. Faded remnants of patient records and abandoned personal relics littered the floor, a haunting testament to lives disrupted and abandoned. And then it appeared, a child's laughter, clear and eerie, echoing through the enveloping darkness. It became my ghostly guide, forcing my heart to pound frenetically in my chest. The eerie, echoing laughter beckoned me further into the labyrinthine corridors, drawing me closer and closer. Finally, I arrived in a room bathed in an eerie azure light. At its center materialized a ghostly visage, a young girl, her eyes vacant and hollow, her clothes tattered and soiled. Her laughter persisted, a hollow, painful echo that sent shivers down my spine. As I approached, she stopped abruptly, her vacant gaze fixed on mine. Her voice, devoid of all emotion, said, "You should not have ventured here. You are an outsider." A torrent of terror surged through me, crystallizing the grim realization that I had trespassed into a realm beyond human comprehension. The asylum was not merely haunted, it was a confluence of the corporeal and the spectral, where the echoes of historical torment lingered. In fear, I turned and fled, my footsteps echoing through the asylum's deserted corridors. The child's eerie laughter followed relentlessly, escalating in intensity and malevolence with each fleeting moment. It was only when I was miles away that the eerie echoes of that cursed place began to fade. I swore never to return, a pact sealed with the memory of that harrowing ordeal. Curiosity, an insatiable thirst for knowledge, had led me to the brink of an impenetrable darkness, an abyss that would haunt my nightmares for years to come. The dangers of curiosity had been revealed, a lesson etched into my psyche at a staggering, incalculable cost. In the wake of that nightmarish encounter within the eerie, desolate confines of the long-abandoned asylum, an unshakable shroud of foreboding clung tenaciously to my every waking moment. The haunting, ghostly laughter of that ghostly child, the hollow, vacant depths of her gaze, and the otherworldly admonition that had echoed so unnervingly in those midnight nightmares remained, an unrelenting specter, a constant reminder of the perilous precipice I had unwittingly stumbled upon. I struggled to convince myself that it was nothing more than the fevered concoction of my overactive imagination, that this unholy asylum was nothing more than a dilapidated, decaying structure, haunted by an ancient reputation steeped in spectral superstition. Yet, deep within my psyche, a nagging intuition persisted, a gnawing recognition of a sinister force lurking, an enigma that defied easy explanation. As the unfolding days inexorably woven themselves into a tapestry of weeks, my immersion in the annals of the asylum's harrowing past became an all-consuming obsession, as I delved deep into the annals of faded newspapers and the cobwebbed annals of history. What I uncovered sent icy tendrils of dread coursing through the marrow of my bones. The asylum had witnessed the most unspeakable of atrocities, an unfolding saga of inhuman experimentation on the ailing minds, a chronicle marred by callous negligence and unfathomable cruelty, all conspiring to forge an indelible, malignant stain on its historical record. The ghostly waif, once encountered with trepidation, was nothing more than the poignant embodiment of the unrelenting suffering that had festered within these cursed walls. Her ghostly laughter, once eerie and disconcerting, now echoed as a desperate cry for help, a desperate plea echoing through the ages, a silent invocation yearning to be heard. Driven by an unyielding compulsion to confront this agonizing truth, I made a final pilgrimage to the benighted precincts of the asylum. This was no act of idle curiosity, but an expedition imbued with purpose. Armed with a cluster of flickering candles, the aromatic embrace of incense and an aura of deep reverence, I crossed the threshold, no longer a mere intruder, but a seeker of salvation. Within the very chamber that had hosted my spectral rendezvous, I erected a solemn altar, illuminating the Stygian gloom with a warm, soothing radiance emanating from the flickering flames of the candles. In hushed tones I uttered a liturgy, a lament for the tortures and injustices that had taken place within these unforgiving walls, a solemn oath to preserve the memory of those unfortunate souls who had been grievously wronged. As I began the recitation of ancient prayers and incantations, the atmosphere in the room underwent a profound metamorphosis. The presence of the ghostly child, her once malevolent aura, now seemed to transform into a tender, guiding caress. Her laughter, once an eerie, chilling refrain, took on the sweet cadence of a mournful, harmonious hum, a requiem intertwined with the tormented souls trapped in the labyrinthine catacombs of the asylum's tormented past. Gradually, the room became flooded with an ethereal, soft glow, and I felt a serenity enveloping me, an all-encompassing calm. It was as if the spirits caught up in the asylum's turbulent history had finally found solace, their anguish acknowledged, their voices heard. At the culmination of this arcane rite, I left the asylum, freed from the compulsion to flee. The malevolence that had once clung to the building was gone, replaced by an overwhelming sense of closure. I have never ventured near that accursed asylum since, and I am acutely aware that I never will. My sojourn into the perilous realm of curiosity had led me to the threshold of understanding and redemption, a realm where the past could finally be unburdened and the enigma of the unknown confronted with an unyielding tenderness. As I walked away from this abandoned bastion, a profound calm washed over me, a realization that curiosity may sometimes lead us to the heart of shadowy abysses, but it is our compassion and willingness to confront the enigmatic that can ultimately bring forth a light, even in the darkest of chasms. Thank you for joining us on this hair-raising journey into the unknown. We hope that you have found these tales of terror both compelling and thought-provoking. Remember, the world is full of mysteries that sometimes challenge our understanding and beliefs. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more chilling content. And if you have your own frightening encounter or story, please share it in the comments below. We love to hear from our viewers. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe and always be prepared for the unknown.